ask again.
Okay.
Can you ask again?
I think it's regarding to the situation in Myanmar or in Italy, whatever the political situation is difficult. And we understand your teaching is to accept everything. But how to know when we should start to not accept? Maybe some situation it's getting too far and we should not accept. How do we know when we should accept or not accept the current situation?
Are you asking only for health or politics also?
I think for both.
We should understand that we are facing with global health and politics problems. We may be able to take care of our own health and family, but we cannot take care of the health of everyone. We cannot solve the problems of every country. We may be able to solve the problems of our own country, but we are sure we cannot solve the problems of every country. With this right understanding, we should detach from everyone and everything, including our own health and politics of our own country. This is very rare occasion, situation. this situation will happen once 100 years, only once in 100 years. So it is really difficult to solve the problems of health and politics. Nearly the whole earth is not healthy. That's why there are many problems. Good business, not good education, not good health, and not enough income, not enough food for some people. It is really difficult to take care even oneself. Even if we can take care of ourselves, we cannot take care of everyone. With this right understanding, we should try to detach from the current situation. To endure this kind of difficulties, we should do good deeds as much as possible. Even if we cannot get success in doing good deeds, we are sure to endure the difficulties. We are not only human beings, we are volunteers, we are meditators. If we see from the side of human beings, this kind of situation is really difficult to endure. So we should abandon the view of normal people. We should use the view of meditators or volunteers. If we see as a volunteer or meditators, this is the biggest opportunity to do good deeds. Many people are in trouble in both body and mind. Instead of paying attention on the danger of virus and instability of the politics, we should emphasize to help the people in need as much as we can. Even if we can do nothing, we should be mindful and detached. We can do nothing for the others. That's why we should try to detach. Doing bad things and experiencing bad things are not to attach, but to detach and endure. We should be patient, tolerate. We should be mindful and detached at every present, detached from every present moment. They are only cause and effect. We are what we do. We get what we give. What we give before. What we are experiencing now is the feedback of what we have done before. This is the same for everyone. It will be difficult to understand and practice like this, but we should not give up. Right understanding and right action are the more needed in this condition or situation. If we are angry with present situation. The present anger will create more trouble in the future. Even if we cannot stop the present that experience, we should try to stop our worry, anger, fear, which are the cause of future trouble and danger.
So there is another question. So this is, I think, from Vietnam always, that they have to be indoor most of the time, and there is many tension between the family members, between each other. How to deal with calm mind? How to keep the calm mind?
The question is more about the mental tensions and like separating the responsibility of the house and yours, not much about the disease. So it's more about daily life tension.
Yes, I think because of being locked, they cannot go outside and they have to stay together in the house. And maybe they are not used to be all the time together. So many tension.
Well, I would like to confirm the question again, please. So your question is between the family members, each other, responsibility, caring, and this kind of situation, how to handle it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. ဆိုဆရာပြတော့မိချင်တဲ့မိသားတော့ဒီမိသားစုဝင်မိသားတွေမှာတယောက်နဲ့တယောက်တာဝန်ယူမှုတာဝန်ခံမှုတွေရှိရပါတော့ဗျ။အဲ့ဒီတာဝန်ယူမှုဆိုတဲ့နေရာတွေမှာတစ်ခါတည်းကြားလို့ရှိရင်ဒီလိုစိတ်ဖိစီးမှုတွေပြင်းထန်တဲ့တယောက်နဲ့တယောက်ပြည့်စုံတဲ့ဖြစ်တဲ့နေရာတွေလည်းရှိတယ်ဗျ။အဲ့ဒီတာဝန်ယူမှုတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဘယ်လိုကိုင်တွယ်ဖြေရှင်းရမှာလဲ။
Command the family members, we should not hope for the best. Hoping for the best is caused by our ignorance and greed. It is easy to hope for the best of ourselves and our family members and friends. That is not the right action. Instead of hoping for the best, we should be mindful ourselves to know what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. We should try to know the truth of ourselves and the others. With the practice of mindfulness and detachment, we should understand that nothing or no one is complete. There will always be right and wrong, good and bad. Together. If everyone is dutiful, our family or our organization will be complete. Everyone will be complete. Because no one is complete, that's why we have to rely on each other. We need to be together to fulfill the need of each other. We are responsible not only for ourselves, but also for our family members and friends. Whatever we do, we should do not only for ourselves, but also for the others who are concerned with us. Here in Tabawa Center, most of the monks, nuns, and lay people are old and sick. They cannot rely on themselves. That's why they need someone or one organization to rely on. That's why I got the chance to create the Bawa Center in my life for old and sick people. Who cannot rely on themselves. If I be angry with poor and sick people, I cannot help them. I can try to control and detach my anger and worry and fear. That's why I can teach them to practice like me. Because of their weakness, I have chance to try hard to train myself to be reliable for those kind of people. No group or organization is complete. That's why they cannot do many things. I take this weakness as opportunity. I train the Bawa Center to be reliable for the old and sick people who are in need of help. I cannot rely on the other monks. Most of the monks are not much reliable. That's why I try my best to be reliable for the other monks also. This is the right understanding and right action for those who are not dutiful for themselves and for the organization.
Okay, another question is more about the attachment of people. Like sometimes we are able to detach maybe from our father or mother, but they are still very attached to us and they would like to have us with them or they would like to keep us with them. Should we be kind to them and stay with them to fulfill their desire, or should we detach and go our own way?
ဒီကတော့ဆရာဗျာဒီဆွဲလန်းမှုနဲ့ပတ်သက်တယ်ဆိုရင်မိဘတွေကသားသမီးတွေကိုအင်မတန်ဆွဲပါနေတယ်ဗျာမိဘတွေကသူတို့ကိုလာတွေးစီခြင်းနဲ့သူတို့ရဲ့စိတ်ဆန္ဒတွေသူတို့ရဲ့ဆန္ဒတွေဖြည့်ဆိုရင်ဖြည့်စီးပေးစီခြင်းပေါ့နော်သားသမီးတွေတွေးခြင်းနဲ့စကားပြောခြင်းနဲ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးမိဘတွေအစွဲတွေရှိတော့သူတို့ဖြစ်စေခြင်းနဲ့အတိုင်းလုပ်ရမှာလားဒါမှမဟုတ်သူတို့ဖြစ်စေခြင်းတာကိုမလုပ်နိုင်တဲ့ရှောင်ရမှာလား Actually not really detachment triggers.
It is nature. The older are more difficult to detach. That's why we should try to be mindful and detach not only for ourselves, but also for our elderly person or parents. We should not think only of ourselves. We should think for our family also, especially for our parents. We should not be satisfied only with our practice. The more we do good deeds, the more we should be able to detach from ourselves. The more we can detach from ourselves, the more we can represent our family, our friends, and our society. We should not separate ourselves and our parents. We should understand that we are together. The old people will have difficulty to be mindful and detached. That's why we should practice more. We should do good deeds more on behalf of our parents also. If they cannot detach, we should detach more. If they cannot be mindful, we should be mindful more. That is right understanding. In this way, they can be satisfied with us, even if they cannot be mindful and detached. Any question?
And Sayadaw, what
ဒီကနေ့မှာတစ်ခုပါပါတယ်ရဲ့ဆရာ။ဒီမိဘတွေကငါတွေးကြည့်ချင်တယ်ဆိုရင်ကောင်းကြီးမတော်တွေ့ပဲကြာ။ဒီတက်ဖြစ်ဖို့ပဲ။အဲ့တော့သူတို့စိတ်ဆန္ဒသွားကြည့်ရအောင်
Our parents may need to our parents may need interest and pay attention by their children. That is nature. But the more we do like this, there will be more attachment. We can pay attention to our parents, but we should try to detach from pay attention to them. Detachment concerns with the mind. Visiting to our parents, taking care of our parents, concerned with our body. Even if we are taking care of our parents, we should try to detach. We should practice mindfulness and detachment, not only by ourselves, but also with our parents also. Therefore, visiting to our parents or not is not important. We can visit or we may not visit our parents, but the practice of mindfulness and detachment is really important in both visiting or not visiting our parents.
Okay, there is another question. I will read. It's written, Sayadaw, whether I understand or not understand the teaching, the I is still there, correct? Is that correct? Is this related to your teaching that understand is important, not understand also not important?
Excuse me, could you repeat your question again, please?
Yes, it's written here on the group. There's whether I understand or not understand the teaching, the I is still there. Is this correct? And is this related to your teaching that understanding is not important and not understanding is also not important?
I'm sorry, for me, I'm a little bit confused. My understanding that your question is, you whether understanding or not understanding of the teaching. That's the first part. And what's the second part?
That was the second part. The first part is, yeah, well, I think that the two things is, the first question is that there is still I here. If someone is thinking I understand or I don't understand, there is still the feeling of I. And this is what the question is, I think. And then we relate this to the fact that Sayadaw teaches that understanding is not important and not to understand is also not important if there is no I. I think if I put it with my words, I don't know for sure this is a question, but maybe that if there is a sense that I understand or I don't understand, the problem is that there is still I, the idea of I.
So you name I means ego, right?
I think so.
Okay, okay, thank you. ဆရာတို့ဆိုလိုတာကတော့ဟိုငါနားလေတယ်ငါနားမလည်ဘူးဆိုတာကအရေးကြီးလားဆိုတော့ဒီလိုငါဆိုရဲ့အတ္တပါနေတာပါဟုတ်ကဲ့ငါနားလေခြင်းငါနားမလည်ခြင်းဆိုတာကအရေးကြီးတာဒါမှမဟုတ်နားလေတယ်နားမလည်ဘူးပဲရှိတာလားဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါမယ်ဟုတ်ကဲ့
We should detach from someone or I or you. So you or I are not important. Cause and effects are, they are only, we should instead of pay attention to I or you, someone or something, we should emphasize cause and effect. Cause and effects are the most important of all. If there is right cause, there will be good effect. If there is bad cause, there will be bad result or effect. This is absolute truth. Eternal truth. So we should rely on the truth or Dharma in order to detach from someone or something. Instead of paying attention to I understand or I don't understand, we should emphasize understanding and not understanding. Understanding and not understanding are result or effect. When what is right or wrong is the cause. If we do good more and more, there will be right understanding. If we do bad more and more, there will be not understanding or wrong understanding for sure. That's why to do good deeds more and more is really important. Than who we are. Or what we are. We should detach something or someone from the mind, from the present mind. This way the mind will be free and powerful. If there is something in the mind is not free. If we can detach something from the mind will be free and powerful. The mind can be dealing with anything and anyone, but the mind should not detach from anything and anyone. Attachment is wrong. Detachment is right.
One more question is about the obsessive thinking. Maybe someone keep on thinking again and again about the person or about the situation. Like maybe right now, some people get obsessive about COVID, about vaccine or whatever, or someone keep on thinking about another person he's attached. Even when we know it's not healthy, we cannot stop the obsessive thinking. How do you advise about that?
Ini lebih kurang. Dia dia ke jauh nak tu, cakap cakap ini ni lah. Dia jauh tu ini ni lah. Sudah ni dia lebih 对一步 solution， 那我就想啥？如果嘛，不会有话是，不会有话讲，cakap cakap ini ni lah. Kamu ni dia dia jauh cakap cakap ini ni lah. Dari attachment itu想啥？
If we cannot abandon our life from the mind. There will be attachment in the mind concerned with our life. COVID-19 and vaccine are concerned with human beings. If we cannot lose our life from the mind, we cannot lose COVID and vaccine from the mind. Because COVID and vaccine are concerned with our body. Because of attachment on our body or life, we have to attach COVID and vaccine also. To detach from ourselves and COVID and vaccine, we need to we need to abandon our family and our life as a lay person. We should renounce the society. We should try to be monks or nuns or yogis. In order to detach from the life of a lay person. In fact, human body, COVID and blessing are only in the mind, not in reality. We accept our mind as reality. That's why COVID and blessing became reality. If we dare to lose our body and mind, our life, we can be monks or yogis. Ordaining as a monk or nun is really helpful to detach from the life of a lay person. We should understand that Dharma or donation, volunteering, sila or not destroying life, belongings, family, right understanding and intelligence, bhavana or practicing the mind to be stable and pure. All these good actions are essential to do, to practice. Business or politics, sport, usage, touch are not essential to do. Doing good deeds or doing practicing Dharma, Sila, and Bhavana are essential to do. With this right understanding, we should try to detach from doing business, politics, and social activities. In this way, we may be able to detach from COVID and the same for sure.
Sayadaw is getting very late in Myanmar.
It's okay.
Okay.
And can continue. Okay.
Okay, there is one more question. Is say Sayadaw, detachment should come from doing good deeds and not from us intentionally trying to detach. Is this correct? Detachment should be coming from doing good deeds and not because we are trying to detach. Is it correct?
那想想ဒီမတွေ့မိမှုမတွေ့မိမှုဆိုတဲ့ဟာကကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်လုပ်ခြင်းကနေပြီးတော့ပဲဒါလေးပေါ့နော်ပြန်အဲ့ဒါပတ်မှာလား detachment ကကောင်းမှုကုသိုလ်ပြုလုပ်ရင်ကနေပဲရတာဆို
သူကဆွဲဖြုတ်တာကိုကုလိုကောင်းမှုပြုလုပ်ရင်းနဲ့ဆွဲဖြုတ်တာကမှန်ကန်သလားပေါ့ဒါမှမဟုတ်ကုလိုကောင်းမှုမလုပ်ဘဲနဲ့ဆွဲဖြုတ်တာအားကြတော့မှားသလားပေါ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးပြောတယ်ဟိုတချို့ကအဆွဲဖြုတ်တယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့ကုလိုကောင်းမှုမလုပ်ဘဲနဲ့အမြင်တက်တက်လေးပြစ်ထားခဲ့တယ်အဲ့လိုဆိုရင်တော့မမှန်ဘူးပေါ့ဒီမဆိုင်ဘူးဆိုတာမျိုးကြတော့လောကီဆန်ဆန်သုတ်ပြထားတာမျိုးကြတော့လေဒါဆွဲဖြုတ်တာမဟုတ်ဘူးပေါ့ကုလိုကောင်းမှုပြုလုပ်ရင်းနဲ့ဆွဲဖြုတ်တာမှမှန်ကန်တယ်မှန်ကန်သလားလို့မေးတာပါ Doing good deeds is the right way to detach. Without doing good deeds, detachment is wrong. If we are doing good deeds, we rely on doing good deeds. That is right action. To detach from our family and ourselves, we should try to do good deeds. This is detachment rely on doing good deeds. This is right. If we are not doing good deeds, we are not relying on doing good deeds. In this way, we may abandon our parents or our children to detach. That is wrong. Abandoning our family members is not the right action. Doing good deeds is the right action. Detachment is right action. Attachment is wrong action. We should not attach, but we should not reject. To be able to detach in the right way, we should try to do good deeds more and more. We should rely on doing good deeds better than our belongings, our ability, our life. Cái gì lớn xèo xây cái mà mình thao lớn xèo là lâu rồi. Cái này suy nghĩ mình thế này xây cái mà mình lớn xèo là qua xèo ya xây tu mà ở đây nhà sai nhà vào đấy lâu rồi lâu mà vào không nhà tia phong mà vào sa tiền mà vàoအဲ့ဒါတွေကလောက်အောင်မှာပဲကျောင်းသားဆိုမှတော့ကျောင်းတက်ရမှာပေါ့ဘုန်းကြီးမှာတော့စာသင်ရမှာပေါ့တရားဟောရမှာပေါ့ဒါလောက်အောင်မှာပဲအဲ့ဒါကြီးကိုဒီထဲမှာထားမှာဒီလိုလုံးမဖြစ်မယ်အပညာသင်ရမယ်ဒီလိုပေါ့ဒီပါရှာမယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးကြီးဆွဲနေရမှာမဟုတ် As a student, we should learn the lesson. As a doctor, we should take care of the patient. As a monk or nun, we should learn Buddhist literature or we should practice bhavana or mindfulness and detachment. But we should not attach on learning lesson or taking care of the patient or learning Buddhist literature or practicing meditation. We should do, but we should stop paying attention to these kind of activities. We should emphasize to be mindful and detached. We should emphasize the practice of Dharma, Sila, and Bhavana only. Education or business or politics are not important. Doing good deeds is important. We should understand like this. This is changing understanding and changing activities. This is the practice of mindfulness and detachment. If we are thinking business or politics, we will not be a meditator. We will be just businessman or politician. In order to detach from social activities, we should practice meditation or mindfulness and detachment.
Okay, there is one more question is, Sayadaw, what is the quickest way to remove the idea of self, atta?
အကြောင်းဖေရှားဖို့စံပြတော့အများဆုံးရတာဘယ်လိုပါလဲဒါအများဆုံးဖေရှားနိုင်တယ်
Volunteering or working for the others, especially for those who are in most need of help. If we are young and healthy, we should not waste our ability. We should do good deeds. in the beginning, we will do good deeds for ourselves, but later we should do good deeds for the others. We should not do good deeds only for oneself. We should do good deeds for everyone. We should do good deeds for all. Instead of thinking of oneself, we should think of everyone. This is helpful to detach from oneself. We should try to think about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha also. It is really helpful to detach from ourselves. Because Buddha and Dharma and real Sangha represent for all. If we rely on ourselves, it is really difficult to detach from oneself. That's why we should change the habit of our mind. Instead of thinking only about ourselves, we should think about the others or Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The more we are dealing with Dharma or doing good deeds, the more we can detach from oneself. Anything to share?
Thank you so much, Sayadaw. It is very late at the moment in Myanmar. If there is some short awada that Sayadaw want to give to us, especially to those monastics living here in the West, please Sayadaw kindly the shortest awada for us. before Sayadaw go to rest.
It's okay. We have more time. So Sally will share. Don't worry, it is not strange for us. Being late is normal. We are always late.
Yes, I understand Sayadaw very much. Yes. I'm so grateful that the hospital of Sayadaw saved the life of my father, who is suffering from stroke and first in Myanmar going to the Nando hospital, but it doesn't help much. His health improved a lot since he is being transferred to Sayadaw's Dharma hospital. And I am forever grateful. And also for the order from Sayadaw.
Hello everyone. After last week's session, Dharma asked if I'd be willing to share some of my experiences from COVID hospital. So I've been doing a little bit of writing through the week. So it's not sharing so much Dharma's experience, but I think that we can learn Dharma through experience and Dharma through good deeds, as Sayadaw was saying. I thought actually perhaps I'd start with one that Sayadaw you haven't heard yet. Just because for the people overseas, maybe you don't know what's been happening here in Myanmar, particularly in Tabawa, in terms of COVID. And I think this one just gives a bit of an outline right from the beginning about what we've been through. It's fairly brief. So I'll read that for you now. There are very few rooms with air conditioning in Tabawa Centre. One of them is the Goodbye Hall. This is the room where the bodies of the dead are held. When COVID came, I started to watch this room with interest. In Tabawa, we typically had an average of 2 deaths per day. They leave Tabawa in a funeral van with chants playing from the loudspeakers. We have a lot of ill and old people living here, so when the pandemic hit, we feared there could be many deaths. During the first wave, there were maybe 1 extra body per day, but not every day. No one really knew what they'd died of, as in the beginning there was no testing for the virus. Sometimes you'd hear of someone you knew becoming suddenly ill and inexplicably dying. This was not so uncommon in Tabawa, as people have all sorts of medical conditions, and many people are old and ill already. Then one day, people covered from head to toe in white suits with masks and goggles, covering their faces arrived. They came from outside, they looked strange, and they felt like aliens, and they started doing tests on us. First, they tested the people in the halls that had reported recent deaths, and in the hospitals where our sickest residents lived. Then they tested the people who work with food, kitchen volunteers, the monks and lay people going for alms, and those who distribute food around the centre. In the end, most people were tested, and anyone who tested positive was taken away. Buses full with symptomless COVID-positive people were sent to quarantine centres, and the ill, on yet more buses, were sent to hospitals for treatment. Those of us who had not been tested yet watched as our neighbours were loaded into buses by the faceless people with white suits and driven away, wondering, will I be next? Those remaining locked down were able to go outside, as indicated by the red danger tape strung outside the halls. Eventually, even the aliens could not keep up with the number of COVID cases appearing in Tabawa Centre, so they stopped coming, but it seemed about a third of Tabawa had COVID. There was nothing to do but lock down and hope for the best. I continued to watch the goodbye hall with interest, but it never became much fuller, yet never was it empty of a few bodies. After a couple of weeks, most of the COVID positive people came back. They were well and healthy. Some had even put on some weight. The aliens had fed them well. One hall at a time, the red tape came down and people were free to move around again, like return to normal. Well, almost. When the second wave came, we barely noticed. There were other things on our mind, other goings on in the country. It was mostly people who had come to Tabawa recently who died in those days, people from our quarantine centres. I continued to watch the goodbye hall with interest. By this time, I'd developed a friendly relationship with the men who dealt with the bodies of the dead. The numbers of deaths had not increased significantly, and yet half of the deaths from our community were COVID positive. By the time the third wave came, there were no more COVID centres. Doctors and the other medical staff were on a strike nationwide, and hospitals were no longer equipped to treat COVID patients. The people in white suits were nowhere to be seen. There was no testing. COVID was diagnosed based on symptoms alone. The virus mutated and the symptoms were less obvious. In moderate and severe cases, medical oxygen was needed for treatment. Very quickly, oxygen supplies in the country ran out. People were dying at home because there was nowhere to go. They were infecting family members and neighbours as there was nowhere to isolate. In Yangon and around the country, people were dying unable to get any medical care. I watched the goodbye hall with interest. There were now on average 6 to 8 dead bodies a day in the goodbye hall. But the body guys could not tell me how many had died of COVID. No one knew. There was no testing of COVID like before. Very soon everything changed. But before where there had been streams of COVID patients leading to Tabawa for treatment, there are now streams of COVID people coming to Tabawa Centre for treatment. Tabawa Sayadaw, always ready to help the helpless, to offer support where it's needed, announced the opening of Tabawa COVID Dharma Hospital. We had little medicine and oxygen. It was hard to come by for us, just as it was for everyone else. We had few medical staff, and some themselves had contracted COVID. Initially, all we could offer was a place to rest, basic medical care, and Dharma, but not much else. The pile of bodies in the goodbye hall grew. Body movers became overwhelmed and no longer had time to talk to me about the numbers and causes of death of those they moved. And yet it needed no explanation. It was obvious to all what was happening. People were dying by the dozens every day. The goodbye hall overflowed. Bodies were now being held in the hospital also, in a place where at another time had been our rice store. Some stayed in the bed where they died until there was somewhere better to move them. It was no longer feasible to remove the bodies from the Tabawa in a funeral van. We had to bring a truck piled high with dead bodies wrapped in plastic. The group of body movers swelled in size. Overnight, they needed more volunteers to urgently fill this need until something more feasible could be arranged. All sorts of people from within Tabawa came to help. Teenagers I was used to seeing hanging about on the street, causing mischief. HIV patients wearing nothing but masks, longi, and boots. Anyone with the strength and bravery to lift the bodies of the COVID dead. The truck piled high with bodies of COVID victims. It did not have the speakers and so could not play the goodbye chant as it left Tabawa. And in time, with everything in Tabawa, as with everything in nature, things began to stabilize. Systems took shape. Donations came in, medicine and oxygen became available, and more people survived the illness. Today, there are only 5 dead bodies in the goodbye hall, tidily placed in newly donated body bags. Tomorrow, the funeral van will come, and they will leave Tabawa with the beautiful and yet haunting chant of the dead. playing over the speakers once again. I apologize if it's a little dark, but I just wanted to give a bit of an idea of what has been happening here over the last year. I know some of you have been detached and also been dealing with these things yourselves in your home countries. I think the experience has been different for everyone, what it is we're facing and what it is we're doing about that. But I think we're very lucky now to be able to speak with Sayadaw and get some wisdom pulled in on that. I'm very happy we can all meet.
Yeah, or express Michelle. Would you like to share with all of these people about the two brothers story? I love the most part. Yeah, please mention more about two brothers with the Dharma. Yeah. That's really
So there's a couple of others that I've written, and some of the people here have heard them, and that's what Popo's referring to. But we'll have more time, and so maybe I'll read them one at a time in completeness. But I would be happy to answer any questions that people had about the time. The COVID Dharma hospital is now very stable, and we're treating the patients very well. People are very happy to be here, very happy to have somewhere. Very thankful that Sayadaw opened this place, and thankful to all the volunteers who made this happen. So yeah, we'll be meeting again, so I can read some more another time, or now if that's what people want. But yeah. Just the two brothers. So not just the two brothers. Because this is part of a writing I did about meditation and COVID. The beginning of this gives a good explanation about COVID Dharma hospital as well. But people only want to hear about the brothers. Everybody likes. Okay, so it starts. So those two brothers are a case of observing the meditation and improving the health outcomes of patients. And so there's two brothers who come to COVID Dharma hospital about the same time. They're both ill, they're both weak, they both have very low oxygen concentrations. And at the time that they came, there wasn't any oxygen available. There was some medicine available, but mostly just rest and somewhere to be. Actually, what wasn't in this story is also their sister, nephew, and niece were also there, but I only have to mention the brothers. So they're about the same age, and I guessed them to maybe be in their 50s. And what I would have assumed to otherwise be good health, they didn't have any underlying conditions that we were aware of, anything like that. Anyway, so the only patients receiving oxygen therapy at that time were those who brought their own concentrators with them. But later oxygen became available. This is something that might come out in another story. Should have let me just read the whole thing. Okay, one thing and another. One of the brothers was a meditator. The other was not. Now they were very weak, and so they weren't really able to sit up much. But one of them was meditating, one of them was not. One who was meditating, when he could sit, he would join the meditations or do it on his own. Whereas the other brother just rested, hoping for the best. And then when the oxygen became available, to any of the patients who needed it. The brothers were offered oxygen, and the brother who's a meditator said, "Look, actually, I'm just gonna keep working on the meditation," and the other brother took the oxygen. And the meditator got better. He spent more and more time sitting. He was able to join in any meditations that were happening on the floor. But he was also, I would see him quite often just meditating by himself, and he'd spend more and more time in his day. But at the same time, I also saw his brother in the adjoining bed getting weaker and weaker and sicker and gasping more and more. And the brother who hadn't been meditating had died. And the brother who'd meditated became healthy again and left. And his mind also seemed quite stable in handling the grief of the loss of his brother. So that was the story I was asked to relay. But there's, so many examples of things like this.
Thank you. We really love the way of your expression about that case study with the linking back together, like a state of mind, not also oxygen or medicine, but also that's what I love most. Thank you. Thank you.
When we do good deeds, we should try to stop doing everything except doing good deeds. If we cannot stop doing business or politics or medical treatment, we cannot do good deeds fully all the time. When we are practicing mindfulness and detachment, we should try to stop practicing everything except mindfulness and detachment. If we cannot fully mindfulness, if we cannot practice fully mindfulness and detachment, there will be ignorance and attachment in the mind. We should try to be fully rely on doing good deeds. We should try to rely on nothing except doing good deeds. In the beginning of COVID hospital, more and more patients are coming to the hospital. That's why we have to experience not having enough oxygen, oxygen concentrator, and medicine, doctors and nurse aid. But for me, I can detach from anything and anyone except doing good deeds. That's why I can continue doing good deeds without enough oxygen, medicine, and medical stuff. if I cannot detach from relying on medicine or oxygen, I must stop doing good deeds. I must stop accepting the more patient. I can do nothing except doing good deeds. That's why even in the worst situation of many patients, many dead body, and little medical staff and a few volunteers, we can continue running Dharma hospital. That's why spreading of COVID patient and death rate became less and less. Up till now. Today situation in Dharma hospital is only over 50 patients and 30 patients in another Dharma hospital. We don't give up doing good deeds. In the most difficult condition, that's why we can successfully stop spreading of the virus and dying number of the people. If we stop accepting more patients in Dharma hospital, people in the society will be helpless and hopeless. They may, if they know the Tabawa center cannot accept any more patients, there is no hope for the patients at home. And there will be more fear, worry, and afraid of virus will be stronger and stronger. In this way, there will be more spreading of the virus and more death of the people for sure. More death of the patient for sure. That this was the cause and effect. if we dare to rely on, if we dare to fully rely on doing good deeds, we can get success. Because the rate of patience and having oxygen, medical staff and volunteers are not equal. If we think as a doctor or patient, we will give it for sure. But I think as a meditator, no I, no you, no life, no death, only cause and effect. With this right understanding, I continue doing good deeds without giving up the spreading of the virus. So whatever we do, we should try to do as much as we can. No need to stop doing good deeds. No need to give up the action of doing good deeds. Even if we lose, we should lose by doing good deeds. If we are able to understand like this, we are sure not to lose. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you, Sayadaw.
Thank you, Sayadaw.
I think this time is really,
Next week. Okay.
I think this time is really late for you. It's time for resting. And we all thank you. We so many here listening to you, and we very, very grateful for the time you give to us. And we're also very happy to connect with the volunteer who stay in Tallinn. Thank you, Sayadaw. Have a good rest.